Hey everyone, thanks for joining us today. I want to talk to you today and show you what we made. We made this rocket stove, and a friend told me about these rocket stoves. He told me about some videos that he had seen on YouTube. So we watched a couple of these videos on YouTube, and I saw a few different ones, and I made what I thought was the most efficient one. These are real easy to make. I'm going to take you outside right now and show you how we made this, and then we'll come back and talk a little bit more about why and when you would use a rocket stove. Okay, so what you're going to need for this, I have 27 bricks, I've got some wood, I've got a lighter, and I'm going to use the top of another little stove for the top part of this. This is what they call a rocket stove. This is going to be for when you are in an emergency situation and maybe you've ran out of your butane, or you ran out of propane, and now all you have left for cooking is wood. So what you're going to do, the first thing you're going to need to do is you need to take a brick and score it in half. I've already done that, but it's real simple to do. All you do is score it with any type of thing here, and then just score each side, pound down. It's going to come right in half, and you're going to have two halves of these bricks, okay? The first thing you're going to start with is you're going to start here in the corner. You're going to put this brick here, okay? That's going to be your half brick. Then you're going to take a full brick here. You're going to take a full brick here. Another full brick here, yes, okay, and a full brick here. Now what you have here is, and this is I'm gonna move this just a little bit, this is gonna be supported when it comes on the other one. So here's where your air chamber is gonna be on the bottom. So this is the bottom of your base here. So there's your first layer. Now actually I'm gonna move this so it's more in the center of this. You don't have to have this base on the bottom, it just makes it a little more stable. So I got that base there on the bottom. But this is your first layer here, okay? And what's gonna happen is you're gonna have your air chamber under here. That's why they call this a rocket stove. It's the old-fashioned principle that the air is gonna come in here, the wood's gonna be here. This is a little bit different than some other ones that you may have seen. Some of them use a grate. This one you don't use the grate for, which just makes it just a little more convenient. Now we're gonna build another layer up, but now this time, we're gonna use that second half of brick that we made here, okay? And that's where our wood's gonna go in. So what we're gonna do now is put this here, and our wood's gonna go in here. That way when we put the wood in, the air is still coming up from underneath it here. Then we're just gonna stack these bricks like so. And what you wanna do is each level that you're doing, you wanna put the seam, the brick over the seam, so you get a nice secure fit there. So like here, what I'm meaning by that, there's the seam. We're gonna put a brick over this one here, and it's gonna cover that seam that way. It's going to cover this seam, and it's going to cover this seam. So when you start your next layer, you do the same thing again. You cover the seam here, this, cover the seam, and you want to go about 6 layers high. That's going to give you a nice wind chamber. So the beauty of this is that even if it's windy out, it's never going to blow out because it's all protected by this part of it here. So you're just going to assemble it very simply like this. Now you can use any bricks that you have. We went to Home Depot and picked up, like I said, we picked up 27 bricks, I think it was. You could use any bricks that you do have, but you want to have uniform bricks so that they are going to create that seal that you need. Super simple to do. All right. So there actually is your rocket stove, okay? Now what you're gonna do now, you see under here is gonna be where the air is gonna come in. Your wood is gonna go in here, okay? And what I've got is you could use some twigs. I just happen to have some really dry firewood left over from the year. So I just have this here. Now you could also take another brick here and put this brick here so that you have something for your wood to sit on when you're putting it in there. And then you can push this wood in as you go. Then the other thing that you're gonna have, so you got some nice dry wood there. That's gonna start your fire. But also then, I'm gonna put what some be like some kindling, just some little stuff. What I also grabbed was just some very dry pine leaves. And we'll put some very dry pine leaves here at the top, okay? Now, what I'm gonna do here is I'm just gonna start this fire from the bottom. So hold on, let me just start this down here. And you'll be able to look right down there and you can see already. Now in the beginning it's gonna give off quite a bit of smoke. See that smoke it's giving off? It's going to give off quite a bit of smoke in the beginning until it gets going. Then once it gets going, also see here, I want to just move this over a little bit. You see those twigs that I put in there at the top? They're actually towards the top.
Wind is blowing that way.
Yeah, the wind keeps blowing direction. You want to set this up the direction that the wind is going. And when I first came out to set this up, the wind was going that way. That's why I did that. But now the wind has changed directions already, which it does that a lot here. So we're gonna let this get started. And as it gets started, we're gonna throw a little more wood in there. Now again, you can use whatever you have for wood. If you just went out to the wood and got some twigs and stuff, you could use that as well. But you're going to want to wait until that gets going pretty good, because that's going to, so it's not going to smoke as much. What you have is this wind coming through here, so you get a nice hot flame. It's kind of on the same principle of the like a smokeless barbecue type of thing. The wind's coming in through the bottom of it here. The air's coming in through the bottom. The wood's coming in from the side. So you're already not seeing a lot of smoke. You see this? We've actually got a pretty good fire going already, and you're really not seeing any smoke. You hear that? Bring this over here. That's why they call it a rocket stove. When it fires up, you'll hear that. Like I said, it almost sounds like a rocket. Now, this should probably be just a little bit smaller. So what I'm going to do here, okay, got my trusty little axe here. So then what you can do is put some smaller pieces in. And again, as this goes, you can just slide these pieces in. They're going to be burning down. You just slide those right in.
Can I put these in the top?
You can put them right in the top.
Okay.
Yep, put them right in the top.
There I go.
Now what you're also going to want to do, some people say you could like take 2 bricks, put it on the sideways that way. What I have is I have another, this is from another cook stove that I have. So I'm going to put that right on top of that. Now you notice I'm really not covering up the air part of it at all. I want the air part to still be there. But when I put my stove on top of that, we're going to have a nice cooking surface, and the air is still going to be able to get from underneath it. Because if you put your pot right on top of this, it's going to put the stove, it's going to put it out, because it's going to be like smothering it more or less. So you want something with some air gaps around it there. And if you wanted a bigger flame, I mean, you certainly could put wood right down in this part of it as well, and you would get a much bigger flame here. You'll get what they call that rocket effect. Now that is hot. You can see the flame up here above it, and what's nice is, again, you don't see very much smoke coming from it, but you see this nice flame right here. If you put your hand right there, that is hot. You're going to put your pot over the top of that.
Oh yeah.
And that's going to be hot, yeah. Now that we put a little down there on the side of it, and you saw, because of the design, if you've got some dry wood, now if your wood wasn't as dry as this is, you're probably going to have to start with some smaller kindling type pieces in there if you had to get wood that was from the forest and wasn't quite as dry. This is what I had in my wood stove, or my wood shed, so I was able to get it in there right away. Look at that now. And just like that, you've got a place to cook. And you notice that didn't take that long. Would it take 5 minutes to put this thing together, and another couple of minutes to get it going, and then boom, you're already ready to cook on this. You could cook right now on this. So as I said, this is really great if you've got an extended period without any electricity, no way to cook, and you've already ran out of your butane like we showed in the other video. We've got some butane camp stoves that you could use. This one, remember, is going to be strictly outdoors. You only want to use this outdoors, and really nice. Now, like here, these bricks themselves are not hot at all. The fire is all inside of there. So even though we've got this nice burning fire underneath there, right? I mean, look at that fire. These are not even warm. You can touch them easily.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you see, I've only put a small amount of wood in there. You're already cooking on just that small amount of wood.
How long do you have to wait before you start cooking like a stew or something? That's good.
You could cook right away as soon as you see that smoke disappearing. Now, if you started with some more like smaller kindling that was kind of wet and you took a little while to get that fire going, you're going to want to wait till that smoke is gone, until you've got a good fire going, so you know it's a good solid ash down there at the bottom. With this wood that I have, because it's so nice and dry, you saw it, we were ready within 5 minutes to be cooking. And if you look, we haven't used hardly anything yet. So now we can put more in. Now we've got a good fire going, so we can push that in, and then we can put more in now. Just keep putting more in. And if you, like I said, you see here, we haven't used hardly anything yet. And now that you have a good fire going, you have the option of putting it in on the top as well. Now you can tell it's pretty windy out here today. If you just had a small little campfire that you had going, if you started just build a little pit and started a campfire, you're gonna have a hard time keeping that one going because it's pretty windy today. This one is going to keep going even when it's windy because it's completely protected from the wind. Your flame is actually on the second level in here, so the wind is coming in from down here. Your fuel's coming in from over here, and there's no way this is going to get blown out by a strong wind. So another real nice feature of this is, again, you aren't going to be affected by real windy. It's pretty windy out here today.
So we would use this if we had no other cooking options,
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah, this
For
would
an
be if you
extreme emergency?
Right, you ran out of butane already.
Ran out of propane?
Right. So this would be, you know, for some people this could be their first resort if they didn't ever buy a propane stove. This would be really easy to do. You don't need anything other than some bricks and some wood to make this. This here, if you didn't have something like this, put 2 bricks sideways, put your pan on top of that. And again, you just kind of keep putting more in there.
And can you explain for the viewers about trying this before you actually need it?
Exactly. As I always say, better to be prepared and not need it than need it and not be prepared. So you want to go ahead and put this together a couple of times and make sure it's working how it's supposed to work, because there's nothing worse if you really had a power outage situation and you really needed to cook really bad and you didn't do it right for whatever reason, you didn't get the configuration right. So practice with it first so you know how to make one of these. I've made a couple of these before. Super simple to make, but if you were just going and you didn't have a video to look back upon, you might forget how it was done. So keep in mind your half brick is going to go here and your half brick is going over here. So you have an opening down here and you have an opening down here. Now you can really hear it. Again, that's why they call it a rocket stove, because when it really gets going, it sounds like a rocket.
So how much did you spend just for the bricks?
So I bought 28 bricks. They were like about almost 70 cents a piece. So what was that, like 21 bucks probably? 21 bucks. And then this bigger piece here. Now you wouldn't need this piece, but I just wanted to make sure it's level, so I bought this piece. This piece was about 8 bucks. So I probably got 30 bucks in bricks. This was off another stove and you wouldn't have to have this. Of course the wood is free because I get that from all over my property. So for under 30 bucks, you got a way to cook.
Okay,
and again, you could use any bricks. If you happen to have bricks around your property, you can use any bricks. I just bought these bricks so the way they're going to look. But if you look, we've used hardly any wood yet. And I could actually be cooking on top of this with no problem at all. I could be cooking here and it already have cooked most of my meal for me. Hey everyone, so now you see how easy it is to make a rocket stove, and you would use this rocket stove if maybe you had a propane camp burner and you'd already used all your propane or your butane that was used up. This would be something really easy to make and use. Or if you didn't have that to start with, this would be really easy to use. So you saw how easy it was, how efficient it was. And again, if you like what you saw, hey, please smash that like button for us. And if you're getting some good information from our channel, comment down below on what you'd like to see and maybe what you have done. And maybe you've made a rocket stove and maybe you have a different version of it that might be even more efficient. I think the viewers would like to see that. If you like what you see, subscribe. Thanks for watching.